Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center in downtown Los Angeles, and I'm here with Federico, Torrado, Tobon with his movie The Plague. Let's take a look at the clip. Federico, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I don't even know where to begin with your movie. Your movie just took me to a place I've never been before. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
But for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Sure. So The Plague is this movie about these siblings who live in like a forest where there's like no life, and they're surviving from this like unknown plague. Mm-hmm. And the movie's about their relationship and how like a third survivor comes in their lives and changes everything.
It's amazing. Like it's visually beautiful. You had fantastic actors and like so many surprises. And I feel like when you're creating something like The Plague, like you kind of, I was like in fear the whole time of like what's going to happen, what's going on. Where did your inspiration come from in creating this particular film?
Sure. Well, I think my main inspirations were from these like the year before I made The Plague, like I started like seeing these movies in theaters that were like horror movies, but with a very like kind of like artistic like execution. So kind of like It Follows and The Witch, and that made me wanted to create something inspired on that. Kind of like where you can see when it's very like stylistic, like thriller / horror piece. So those were like my main inspirations. There was also like this painter called like Andrew Wyeth. I saw like this picture, I forgot the name of the picture, but it's like this lady like crawling in a field, and there's like a house at the end in the background. And that inspired me a lot to have that as my like visual references with the production designer. So those were like the visual.
I love how you got films that you've watched and things that you've been inspired by, and it's sort of merged into creating your particular project as well. As I said, I thought like visually it just had this, even in a completely different sort of like genre, but it gave that sort of tree of life. Like you just gave us this like, you gave us these moments that we're in the moment and we're discovering what you're trying to teach us, like just watching it, which I found was very beautiful. Is that something of your style that you like? Like you like to kind of like take people to a place and show a visual that we can kind of like discover or work out what's going on?
Yeah. Well, what can you explain again the question a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean more so like you give us these beautiful visuals.
Yeah.
And so what I love when you show us is the fact that you kind of give us this set in this scene and almost make us understand and work things out through this kind of picture that you give us.
Yeah. So I was trying to know what was the like right amount of information to give in order to keep like the movie interesting, because it's like a very long short film. It's like 21 minutes.
Yeah, but
and yeah, part of it was like what should the audience know and what they shouldn't know. And
you just kept us on this like it wasn't like you gave us reveal too much. It was just, and I like sometimes it's nice when you don't need dialogue, you just give us this. And it was beautiful.
That's another thing about like dialogue is that I went to like film school in Bogota in Colombia, and big part of it, like the first like years and stuff, was like just non-dialogue. So I kind of like started like liking that, and then I also wrote The Plague, and I realized like I'm a really bad writer of dialogue. So I'm like, I'm not gonna use a lot of dialogue.
I'm like thinking he's artistic, and I'm like, he's just, I don't like dialogue. That's good. Well, I mean, it worked beautifully. Now, your cast, my goodness, like what characters that you had, like I can't believe it. Firstly, with the siblings, for example, it's you have to create that relationship, obviously, and they're only teenagers themselves. Like, how was the casting process for you?
I was very lucky. I like hired a casting director. And I kind of like went through all his IMDb stuff and really checking like all the movies he's done and kind of like trying to find the actors that could work. And then he brought these like the Dylan and Casey were like the siblings, and they were just like amazing. To me it was like it was hard because first they need to like look like siblings. I wanted them to be twins at the beginning. I don't know if that translates. Probably
no. They look very much so.
But they look very similar, and then they were just like incredible like actors. Like from like the first like audition, I was like blown away by them. So
really,
I feel very lucky. We didn't have a lot of time for rehearsals because of their schedule. I think one of them was like in New York and got here like the day before shooting. So what we did was like we did kind of like some scenes before like on set where we're just like improvising with them. As I was telling you that I don't feel very comfortable with the dialogue I write. We were doing this thing where they knew what the scene was, and I was like, we're in a safe space, let's rehearse it and you can come up with the words you want. And I was like recording them too. So sometimes they were delivering like really nice dialogue, and I'll change it for that.
I don't feel like with your films you even need dialogue. You give us like so much, you know, and I love being able to work out things without dialogue there. So I think that's just to say it's your clever style. Don't even worry about it. But no, one thing I really appreciate and enjoy. You took us into this world, you know, this atmosphere, this place, this location that was just like. It just felt like, you know when you watch those films and then there's like, you just don't know what's beyond and you don't know how big it's going to be. And you kind of, I felt like, my God, what's going on around the world? What's happening? You kind of take us in that sort of place. How was the locations for you and finding that? Because it was a really great location.
Yeah, thank you. We knew we wanted like this kind of like place in the middle of nowhere that felt like it was like kind of like no like human life there. So we scouted with the producer. We went to like Big Bear and Arrow Lake and all those places, but then we found like through a location manager, he like found this like place. He stayed in a place called Pine Mountain Club that was like 2 hours north from LA, and the house we found, it was very cheap to rent for like a week and a half. So we just decided like, okay, this is amazing price. Let's just go here, shoot here, and then we brought all the cast and crew, and they stayed at we got an Airbnb for them, and then the producer and I, we stayed at the location.
Oh, great.
Which was a nightmare.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because there was like bears and stuff. So at the end of the day, we had
bears?
to like, so we had to like.
I mean, risky business for indie films.
We had to keep like all the garbage, like all the trash, like inside the house at the end of the day, so the bears like didn't like come. So like the house was like smelling horrible, and then it felt like kind of like trapped in a way, like you're in this house, like no escape, no like psychological escape. The only escape was like when we had like breakfast, which was in one of the Airbnbs. So it was very intense, but it was cool to be there as well, because you're just looking at the place the entire time, and you kind of like figure out what's like the best way to like capture it.
I was gonna say, what was your biggest challenge, but I think avoiding grizzly bears is a pretty big challenge. What was your biggest challenge filmmaking? Was that one of them? I'm sure, but that was pretty much it. I think that's the tagline, isn't it? We try to escape grizzly bears during the shoot.
That's pretty much it. No, it's basically how. I think the biggest challenge when the production started was like all the exteriors, getting the exteriors, because for some reason when you're in an exterior, I mean, I think that was like a thing I learned from this production. It was like, I was like, oh yeah, you just like in these exteriors, so you're just gonna like shoot this stuff there and that stuff over there, but then I realized I had to be way more specific. So I feel like we lost a lot of time kind of figuring out the exact shot at the exterior, because it all looks the same. So you're like, let's use this tree, let's use like whatever. But then way like more difficult working with that.
And how many days did you shoot it? How long was it?
So it was like 7 days shoot. So we did 4 days in the interiors, and then the 5th day we broke. There was a break, and then the last 3 days we did the exteriors, which was also in retrospect I should have done, because I wanted to do it like chronologically, but I should have done the exteriors before, because it was just so tricky.
Now you're from the beautiful country of Colombia.
Yes, from Bogota.
We love Colombia, and you know, coming from Colombia, coming to LA, writing this movie, directing this movie, then taking this movie after your studies at USC, then bringing your film to the home of the Academy Awards in partnership with NewFilmmakers LA, which is celebrating a great month of Latin cinema, so Hispanic Heritage Month. How did that feel last night to have your movie there on his birthday weekend? Just saying, how was that for you?
Yeah, well, that was very trippy. One of like the most intense experiences I've had in my life, just because I was like,
was it a good intense experience?
Great. Yesterday was like my last day on my 20s, so I was like oversensitive, and then just being there and just felt so surreal and magical, and I was like very, very grateful to.
What a great birthday weekend. It's your actual birthday today, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
And what a great way to have you celebrate your weekend with your great talents, you know. What is next for you?
Next for me, I'm in all this like moment of figuring out my visa situation.
Yes.
I applied for an artist visa.
If he's got a film at the Academy Awards, I think, you know, really people, you know, but hey.
So we'll see what happens, and then I'm starting to write a feature that is in Colombia.
Oh, great!
Inspired like on that like dynamic of the play, like triangle. Yeah. And then trying to get like music videos done. I also love music videos, so
great.
Trying to get more into that
music
video life.
You have wondrous talent.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to, you know, for your journey to continue, and America needs you. Your talent here and your filmmaking ability, and I love that you're bringing Colombia in as well. I think that's really beautiful, bringing your home country. So I'm excited to see more of your work.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, and happy birthday to you.
So much.
You know, muchas gracias.
No, con mucho gusto.